afternoon, good evening. This is Joseph Jackson from Del Oro Pacific Large Scale Modular Railroaders. We're here at Winterfest 2018-2019, our last few days of operations. So if you look around, you'll see the Del Oro Railroad. We've got many of our scenes over here. Most of the scenery is scratch built. Here comes a train that used to belong to Mac McCullough, the locomotive. And Mac passed away a few years ago. And I bought his locomotive. The cars are mine, but Mac did the work on the locomotive. Here comes a Santa Fe Streamlined train owned by Jim Kruger, all USA and Aristo. It's really beautiful. If you look over here, this is a scene that Mac McCullough created, and it's just been kept living by guys like Denis Packer and Martin Orosco. There's lots of detail in here. There's an old caboose there. There's figures around it, outside of it. A water tower that Mac, I'm pretty sure, built from scratch. And Mac was really good at using old materials. That's probably a coffee can inside of there that he's covered with sticks and made the rest from scratch. So we can come this way a little bit. You'll see right now there's lots of Christmas decorations for Winterfest. There's snow on the ground. And that's a little unusual, except we'll have that out for times like now because of the winter theme. But most of the time you don't have the snow, it's just the modules. And the whole railroad is modular, so it's broken into sections or tables. Like you look right here, you'll see a dividing line. So in a few days, all of this stuff, we're going to take it apart. All the scenery, these trees, a lot of these were made by Ted Greeno and friends. So these are handmade. These you buy in a store somewhere, and then the animals come from various places. The details come from various places. But a lot of the trees now are handmade, and I want to thank Ted Greeno for that because he was quite the driving force behind getting those things done. So we'll go this way a little bit. So this barn is the work of Denis Packer, and if you look inside of there, there's all kinds of things going on in there. There's usually actually a soundtrack playing, and if I should have turned it on, but you get a good chance to see all the detail work. The barn is completely built from scratch, and Denis built this, and it's just sort of a country hoedown, I guess you'd call it. And you can see all the detail that's out here, multiplicity of figures, animals. This guy's doing stunts. Here comes the Super Chief again. So what a beautiful train. You can watch that thing go all night. You'll see there's lots and lots of animals. As we continue moving this way, you'll see automobiles, buildings. Once again, almost all of the buildings are scratch built, and there's lots of detail. There's a little outhouse back there. There's all these bird houses which were built from scratch, I'm pretty sure. So we'll go this way a little bit. And you'll see this is just a labor of love, lots of detail. Now this is a structure you can buy as a kit. This is the work of Martin Orosco with all of the lights. He did the lighting just for Winterfest, just for our winter activities. But these are, I believe, Aristocraft made these kits, the station platforms, and then the station itself. So we'll come this way a little bit. You can see, well, one of our ladies has fallen over, but there's another one up there by that light. And here's, it could be a water tank or an oil tank, probably a water tank. And then we come over here to the house. This is the work of Martin Orosco. Look at all the detail. There's Santa inside of there. There's little guys look like penguins in here. Tons of detail in this thing. Martin Orosco was responsible for this. On the building can be flipped around on the other side to celebrate Halloween. So it's a multi-purpose building. And we just keep coming down this way. You see these little horses. There's the calliope, and the calliope does play calliope music. But you can hear all the background noise. It'd be really hard to hear the calliope right now. But this is just some of the beautiful work that guys like Martin and Denis do. They aren't the only scenic guys, but they pretty much head up all the scenic projects, and they do absolutely gorgeous work. Here comes that train again. Back here is the Hatchapee Orchards, a completely scratch-built structure by Martin Orosco, and it's fairly new, actually. Very beautiful, lots of neat detail. and just part of that wonderful idea of building scenery. And if you come this way, here's some really interesting stuff. This guy up here, this is what we call the L. Ted Greeno built this years ago. It had fallen into disrepair, and Jim Kruger and Gary Welch refurbished it. It is running beautifully. Here comes a streetcar. It goes around, it'll stop, and then it sends out another car. If you come down this way, take a look in these buildings. Ted Greeno did all this work in these buildings. Absolutely wonderful. There's a flower shop down here. There's people buying flowers inside. There's an elevator moving up and down. The detail is just out of this world. So this little guy stops here, and the act is that he'd be picking up passengers or goods. You can see he's got a Christmas tree here and some packages. If you look in here, there's lots of packages. There's a forklift. There's nutcrackers in the back. Lots and lots of detail. And come and look in the buildings here. There's people inside of that building. Here's a couple in a romantic moment. And then look at the figures along the street. Here's another couple in a happy moment. Look down here. There's people in this little toy shop. There's a toy train for somebody to buy. All kinds of stuff. It's just out of this world. There's a restaurant down here. There's people in there. There's tables. There's candles. It's just fantastic detailing. And then if you look up here, there's people. There are old telephones in there for people to talk on. There's things on the walls. This is obviously a business up top. Down here, you've got a musical instrument store. Rooms for rent if you want one. You could talk to Jim Kruger or Gary Welch about rooms for rent. More things up here. Now, Ted Greeno, you'll notice that he's got a music shop back here. Ted and I shared a love of classical music. I think Ted even played the tuba like I do at one point. And this is a great salute to Ted, since we just lost Ted here about a month and a half ago, unfortunately. But we love Ted. He did a lot for this model railroad club. He did a lot for railroading in general. Here goes the trolley again. You come down this way. Once again, the detail continues. Here is the leg lamp from the Christmas Story. And apparently somewhere in this building is Ralphie from the Christmas Story. So I haven't seen him yet, but I really think the leg lamp is super neat. There's a Christmas tree and it looks like not a front office, but a waiting area down there, maybe for the hotel. And this is a hotel right here. Just unbelievable detail work. And I'm so glad that Jim and Gary Welch went ahead and redid this. Here's a platform up here. Lots of people waiting to get on their trolley. Here's the newspaper, 25 cents. Wonderful, wonderful detail work. Over here, the details just continue. There's a sign right here as you make your way down. This little guy is from the Polar Express. We have a Polar Express train over in our yard. It's not running tonight, right now, but it'll probably be out a little bit later. We rotate the trains. We've got a German beer garden over here. There is a Oompa band in the back. Pickle barrel. This is once again the work of Martin Orosco. Just absolutely gorgeous. All the vehicles in the snow. There's the Oompa band. I think I said that already. But in this little box car or refrigerator, this is where you can get your beer. It looks like he's serving it up in there. This structure here, now we're going back to some of our older school scenic builders. This, I believe, is either the work of Don Gage or Ron Owens originally. I think that shop was Don Gage, and I think this one was Ron Owens. Don's not involved in our club anymore. Ron passed away, but after his death, his structures were donated to the club so we can continue to use them. So just some really beautiful workmanship. These guys that build scenery are just absolutely phenomenal. There's a Christmas train sitting out here. Here's the Wigwam Motel. How neat is that, with all the teepees back there? This may have been the work of Ted. I don't really remember, but either Ted or Martin. The fueling station over here. Now this is a kit that you can buy, and Martin has went in there and detailed the heck out of this thing. You got the gas pumps, the automobiles, mechanics. There's a lady out here working. It's just absolutely fantastic. So we keep moving down, and this may be a good time to just kind of take a look across the layout. We've got our mainline yard in here, so that we can store trains, and the yard is functional enough that you can actually run a train around in a loop in the yard, as well as run trains out here on the main lines. So this year at Winterfest, we are really fortunate. We got a lot more space. This layout is about 68 foot long, and I think we're 45, 46 foot wide. So we've got quite a nice piece of real estate here. We'll keep moving down. Got a repair shop. I think that may have been a Mac McCullough building back in the days. Jim's Cars down here. You can get a used car. Pretty neat. Here's your Harley Davidson motorcycle dealership, so you can buy a Harley. And then we've got these billboards or signs. I believe this is all custom made. And then Dennis is real good about printing these signs. And this one warns you about rail pox. Come over here. We've got a really beautifully decorated area with Christmas. There's nutcrackers. Once again, another one of those wonderful signs. And as we turn this corner, we come to the Oro Train Station. Now, this is the work of Denis Packer, and he based this train station, I believe, off of a Southern Pacific prototype, probably Arcadia. I'm not 100% sure. But this was typical of the train stations, the yellow color and the green outline. It's actually very beautiful. But Dennis did just a knockout job on this beautiful station. There's all kinds of details as you look inside. And then all of the cool things that he's done on the outside. This platform, which is very typical of the old train stations. There's packages if you look inside, and it says PNRGGRR. That's Pico, Packer and Rio Grande, I think, Railroad for Denis Packer. I forget what the other G is for. Rudy's, Ted Greeno, his middle name was Rudy, Ted Rudy Greeno. And so you'll see a lot of homage to Ted. He was well loved. But look at all the detail. Baskets of fruit out here. Here comes that Streamlined train. Lots of clever things. This container back here that has the green O is really dedicated to Ted Greeno, but it's just an O that's green, and it's Greeno Petroleum. Ted built a fantastic refinery, which I don't know where it's not here at this show, but I think we do have most of the parts of it left. And so we find these things, oil tanks, that was built from scratch, Plastruct, and a few other materials. Once again, just beautiful work that was done by Ted and some of the other scenic guys. So over here, this is new for us. We have a video talking about Del Oro Pacific. This was created by Vic Thies, and he does a lot of video production work. So he created a video for us. We're very thankful to Winterfest because they've given us a lot of ideas, and one was that we create a type of video that people could see what goes on with our club. So here you're seeing the Kids Layout, which is the work of Ron, Alan, and Patty. And then this is a setup right here where we went to the VA hospital in Long Beach. We've done that now for 2 years during a veteran celebration. The veterans love it. We love to entertain them and their families. And the VA in Long Beach is just doing a wonderful job on their celebrations of the veterans. It's showing off some of the scenery that's been built. We saw that building a little bit earlier. This is some more structures. It's going by kind of quickly, so I won't try to keep up with it. But there's so much detail in this railroad. There's Denis Packer right there doing what he does with scenery. We have some amazing membership and just wonderful, wonderful creative guys in this group. Now, this intersection right here is really interesting. You got switches, crossovers, more crossovers. This is the entrance and exit of the Mainline Yard. So I shouldn't call it the Mainline Yard, but call it our main yard. So you can build trains in the yard. You can bring them into the yard, take them out. And there's a lot of electricity involved, a lot of electrical things involved in this, because you hit one button in the yard and it lines all of your switches to go one way or the other. It is really quite the feat. We had a member, he passed away unfortunately, and you'll hear me saying this a lot, we've lost a lot of members, but what I want to tell you about it is those guys that have left us, they've left us with a wonderful legacy of things to work on and do. Dave Crocker was one of the main reasons we have this yard the way that we do. The older yard was a little bit different, a little more complicated. This one, you throw one button, it sets your switches. Ted Greeno built those signal bridges that are in the yard. When you power up one of the zones or blocks, the light goes green in there. It is really quite wonderful. What a great club. Who wouldn't want to be involved in Del Oro Pacific? So we'll come down this way a little bit more. Just more scenery. Mainline switches to get off the main line into the yard. Here's another scene. This looks like a train in a park. This train belongs to Ron Allen, and what he does is he'll put this train on the track, and with the remote here, he lets the kids run the trains. We do have the Del Oro Kids Layout, which is Ron Allen and his girlfriend Patty. They run that, and they do a wonderful job helping out the kids and showing off trains to the kids. One thing about our layout here is that the way it's set up, it's really difficult to let the kids run the trains. But with the kids layout, the kids get to run the trains with remotes. They have a great time. So Ron has brought one of his trains here, and he'll give the kids the remote. The train is battery operated, so it doesn't need the track power. So our entire railroad, there is electricity running through these tracks. It ranges anywhere from maybe 5 volts up to 20 or 22, depending on what you're running. This train, very heavy. It's got almost every car is lit on this train. All of those locomotives have 2 motors apiece, so it's drawing a lot of current. But we've got big transformers in our control tower, 25 amps. We don't have any problem with power. Each of the tables, we'll come down low for a minute. So there's a number of cables. You'll see these 4 wire connectors down here. Those are wires that connect to the yard and from the main line. Also, between each table of the layout, we have a 4-wire connector so that we do not rely just on the track for power. We're relying on those connectors as well as the rail joiners. But under here, you see we've got all kinds of room for storage. And then there's a couple of cables. There's a big, heavy black cable on the ground. It runs all the way around the layout to keep the power consistent throughout the modules. And then we hook up these power strips to power all of the scenery and effects that are going on around the railroad. It takes a lot of people and a lot of time and work to get all of this stuff going. So we'll come around this last corner back here. More scenery. Another scratch-built piece of scenery. The tree house there. And then all of this stuff made by hand. You can find vehicles in all kinds of places, but let's look at scenery everywhere, details everywhere. Look at the people, the kids down here, the bicycles. Here's a Disney character. It's just wonderful. All kinds of stuff to see. And now we'll come on this last corner down here. Now these trees are commercially made, and they're wonderful. And it took a little bit of stress off the guys to not have to make more trees. Here's more custom-made signs. Joy, that's Ted Greeno's girlfriend, is Joy. And so Ted built a model of an ice cream parlor, and I think that's where you'll find Joy's Double Dipper. Now this is called the Mainline Slowdown. Trains, we can bring them in here, we can stop them and start them, and then we can park them on these sidings. So it looks like Joseph now I'm gonna go ahead and throw this switch manually. We actually do have motors here, but our switch control box stopped working early on in the show. So we went ahead and we're doing these manually, but normally we throw these switches by switches in the tower through a remote. So anyhow, you can bring trains in here, you can stop them, you can start them, you can separate them if they get too close to each other. There's all kinds of things that we can do. So there's sort of your tour of the Del Oro Pacific. This club has been around. It started in 1985 by Harold Becker and a few other guys who wanted to promote large-scale model railroading, and they built modules. So you'll see, here's a good example. Now, this is a short module. So the modules are clamped together. It makes the railroad very mobile, very versatile. There's all kinds of designs we can do. We don't have to run the trains the same way the same time or all the time. We can do different things. So Harold Becker is really the reason that Del Oro Pacific exists, and that'll take you back to about 1985. I've been in the group now over 20 years, so I've seen a lot of generations come in and out, and I'm in a pretty interesting spot. I'll be 40 next year. No, not next year, this year. But I've been in the club a long time, and I try to take an active part in scheduling events for us and finding us different things to do. I've had the pleasure of working with the folks here at Winterfest, and we have definitely had some hurdles to come over, but my goodness, have they been good to us. We're able to put up this beautiful railroad here at the OC Fair and participate in Winterfest. Hopefully we'll get invited back because we have just had a great time this year. We love running the trains. One of our goals is to educate people in general about trains. There's definitely a need to get the younger people involved in this because we want this hobby to continue. This has been a great, 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 wonderful hobby for me. You look around at the guys that are here, it's been great for them too. This is why we do it. Putting up this railroad takes a lot of time and energy, but we do it because we enjoy it. And then look at the result that we get. We've got people from all over Orange County, probably people from all over California that come in here and get to see our railroad. And maybe with this video, we'll get to go worldwide. So Del Oro Pacific, there are videos of us on YouTube that you can see. And we've been featured in a number of different events. So just look for us in the future. We're going places. All aboard.
You like any more information? There's cars over here with us.